It's 2024 and I'm still following the bushfire cases that are before the courts here in the Hunter Valley. It's January and we're having a heat wave. I'm over at Cessnock as Chris and David's cases are being mentioned again at Cessnock Local Court. It's been about 3 months since the arrest. David is accused of lighting the smaller Pelham fire and the emergency warning Kersley fire, both on the 3rd of October 2023, while Chris is accused of only the Pelham fire as an accessory. There are 81 cases listed at Cessnock Local Court on this day. There are a few defendants and solicitors around. It's pretty quiet. There are no media. In fact, when I take a seat in the gallery before 9:30, it's empty except for David. I notice Chris's solicitor is busy coming and going with paperwork, so I assume Chris is in the attached waiting room. It's common for defendants to chat with their solicitor before court. I have said before, it's really hard to hear at Cessnock Court, and today it's particularly bad for some reason. Honestly, I'm only catching about 40% of what's going on. Within a couple of minutes of court starting, David's case is heard. This is the third mention. He's pled guilty to the Pelham fire, but not guilty to the Kersley fire. It sounds like he's being assessed for merit. Let's pause. What is merit, you ask? It's the magistrate's early referral into treatment program, merit. It's voluntary. It's for people who have issues related to alcohol and drug use. A person has to meet a particular criteria to enter the program. If they do the 12-week program, the case will be adjourned during that time. It's not a get out of punishment or jail situation. Rather, the magistrate gets a report and can consider that as the case continues on. Basically, it's my understanding they are looking for some rehabilitation or potential for rehabilitation before the case is finalised. So back to court. David's solicitor asked for an adjournment for 2 weeks to complete the merit program assessment. So that's just to get assessed. The magistrate allows the adjournment, however expresses that he wants the hearing date set. You get a sense the magistrate wants the case to move forward. So the case will be back for another mention in early Feb 2024. David leaves. Just waiting for the fire truck. For the next 2 hours, I wait in the gallery for Chris's case to be heard. Oh boy, I'm sort of glad I can only hear part of what is going on because the circumstances of some of these offences are a bit off the charts today. Maybe it's the heat. On this day, I'm sure the majority of the time is being spent just keeping these cases moving forward. What I mean is a lot of cases are being set aside just so someone can find a file or locate a missing paperwork or find out if this is all the charges or even find the defendant. It doesn't help when the defendant has been charged under different names. What I'm seeing is the court doing a lot of case management and trying to keep things together and moving along. The magistrate is doing a lot of reading while things are being sorted, meaning there's a lot of silence in the court. I may have had a micro sleep, and I'm sure the other 3 people in the gallery may or may not have dozed off. At last, at 11:30, Chris's case is heard. Remember from the last time in court, today he will be arguing a plea reversal, meaning he wants to change a guilty plea to a not guilty. Because he has 2 cases with multiple sequences, which are charges, I am not sure which ones are guilty, which ones are not guilty, and which ones he's seeking to reverse. Is it the bushfire charge he wants to reverse? But there's a problem. The defence solicitor has been attempting to discover what evidence Chris was given which he based his plea on. Chris entered pleas at the first mention the day after the arrest. This was in Maitland in October 2023. The Maitland police prosecutor is different to the Cessnock police prosecutor. Remember, they're going to explore the interest of justice test here. So confirming the evidence that was served on Chris is important. I'm getting a sense that there's some new evidence or something's changed since the plea, but I can barely hear what's going on. Remember, we have no idea of the story behind the offence. We also don't know the relationship between Chris and David. We have no details yet. It gets stood down until after lunch so they can sort some stuff out. Yes, I hung around Cessnock in the heat until after 2 p.m. But I do this because it looks like Chris will give evidence during the plea reversal. This will be the first time since I've started following these bushfire cases that a defendant has spoken. I get back at 2 p.m. and the courtroom is empty. Where is everyone? But by 2:30, people start appearing. By this stage, I'm getting looks like, who am I? There's no one in the gallery except for Chris and I, and there's only a couple of solicitors left. I'm scribbling away with my pen and paper. I'm sure they're wondering, what am I up to? For the next hour and a half, I wait for Chris's case. These other cases are just like no words. I'll summarise. First, I thought assault police was taboo. However, I'm clearly been living under a rock. There's a case about a guy who tried to steal a fridge that ends up in a foot chase with the police and of course ends up with the 2 police officers being assaulted. I've heard more than one case now about police assaults and there's not any particular fuss made about these cases. I have so many questions. I feel like I need to do a whole series on the offence of assault police. Second, I'm of the opinion that doing a crime inside a jail is not a great idea. My rationale is the threatening phone calls are being recorded and are easily used as evidence. For the record, the magistrate says quotes from the phone transcript. I have never heard so many C words and F-bombs come out of one magistrate's mouth. Third, I had no idea there was a known area in a particular jail where people secrete weapons and store them later for fights. Yeah, them out. In this case, there is a fight in jail. The whole saga is caught on CCTV because it's in a jail. One guy is armed with a ping pong paddle, so the other went and got the secreted weapon. There's a square off, they exchange blows, then there's a retreat, and then they rearm themselves with the ping pong paddle and the weapon. The fight is broken up using a pocket grenade. Do not ask me what a pocket grenade is. Honestly, these were the most insane situations. I don't think I'm going to make it. Chris, you're on your own. At last, at 4 p.m, Chris's case is back up. They still haven't worked out what evidence was served. Chris never spoke. It's adjourned until the end of February 2024. In summary, I spent all day in Cessnock and I discovered nothing. So next week I'm back in Newcastle. Both Adam and Ben's cases are being heard at Newcastle Local Court on the same day. Adam is the case from Maitland with 13 charges of the Bushfire Offence and he hasn't pled yet. Ben is the case from Singleton with 3 charges of the Bushfire Offence. He's pled not guilty, however, has no hearing date yet. There is, however, something that's happened over the Christmas break. I noticed Ben has a new case which was heard in Newcastle Local Court on a Sunday in mid-January. There are no other details and there's no media, so I assume there's a new charge. I'll keep you posted.